I read this very nice post where you said back at
who are racing the World Championship, Nation Championship. Almost all the states in India are also supporting this.
if there are enough skating rinks and training facilities in India.
Yes, there are many tracks in India. There are 4 tracks in Karnataka which are international standard. There are a couple of tracks in Delhi. There's one in Gurgaon, one in Pune, one in Mumbai, 3 in Chennai, tracks in the eastern part of India, one in Rajasthan, and there are new tracks coming up in Noida, UP.
Biggest challenges that the Indian skaters face when they're trying to break into international scene.
Between 18 to 25, you have to finish your education and start looking for jobs, look after your future. For them, it's not like that. All they do is skate, and when they quit their sport, that's when they start studying. They are able to put all their time and effort into skating and come up in the charts.
How would you handle motivation if results don't go your way?
And people don't clock the timing or don't win the championship, they go into a mode where they're depressed, they feel bad about themselves. But I'm the opposite. I fuel my motivation through failures, and I analyze where I've gone wrong, how I've gone wrong, and I try to tackle my weakness, improve on that, and build my strength.
Common mistakes that parents make early on.
Pushing them to a limit where they start hating the sport. They want them to win, and they force them to push their bodies so much. They don't have the time to be kids. They're not able to do anything else other than this, and they start hating the sport. And once they get that mentality, they won't improve it.
Raising an athlete, and thank you so much for making time for joining us on the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Lovely. So I think skating is so exciting, and I think in the last few years a lot has changed, and we still have a long way to go. In today's conversation, we are hopeful that we'll be able to speak with you about your journey from beginner to a elite athlete, and also help all those young athletes as well as their parents who are exploring at different stages of the game. So let's start with a little bit about your early journey. So I saw on your Instagram this particular date, Jan 10th, 1999, mentioned a lot. You talk about it with a lot of affection that at the age of 4 is when you started skating. How did it begin for you? Is it something that you asked for? Did your parents nudge you into it?
So on my 4th birthday, my parents gifted me my first pair of skates, and since both my mom and my grandmother were athletes, they used to visit the athletic stadium quite often because they were also officials back at that time. So there was a small skating rink right next to the athletic stadium, and I used to go watch them skate. And they were trying to figure out where my interest was and what kind of sport I would like. So they asked me if I was interested in skating, and I said yes. After 4 days of my birthday, they put me into these classes, and that was the first time I tried my skate, and I've never stopped since then.
Okay. Also, Dhanush, when did you realize that this is something that you wanted to pursue professionally?
What happened was my first coach was not that great. He was a very good coach, but he told me that since I'm a left-handed person, so my left side is dominant, and to skate you have to have your right side more powerful to go to the left. So you push from your right to go move left, and I was the opposite. So the coach said that I wouldn't be great in skating, or I wouldn't come up in this field. And since both my parents were into sports, my father said that's not the actual way of putting it. So he got certified as a coach and he started training me. And when people saw him improve my skills, that's when people started telling him that, why don't you start coaching, or why don't you open your own academy? So that's how we opened our own academy. And I didn't have any other option, because since my father was my coach, I had no option of quitting the sport and joining something else, because he did this just for me and I had to pursue it. So that's how I started pushing more and got into the professional level, and that's how I kept on going.
So that is incredible, that the fact that you got coached by your father, and he decided to take on the mantle of provoked by someone saying that
Yeah.
That you can't. What were his thoughts? What was the reason why he started? Was this that he took on as a provocation, or because possibly they were athletes themselves that they felt that this is something that you could pursue as a profession?
I think they felt that they knew I had it in me. Maybe they saw my potential in the early stages and they thought that with hard work anything can be possible. So they started pushing me more, and what they did were they put me into the sport and they kept pushing forward no matter what. Whether I would win, I would lose. That was not the outcome. They just wanted me to skate and get better at it. So that's the reason they kept pushing me forward. There was no option of changing sports or looking into different interests. So I think that's one of the reasons they still tell me that no matter what, you just have to keep skating. You just have to keep improving yourself.
That's fantastic, and I think that's where it helps to have people around from your own family who have exposure to sports or from athletic background, because then you can have like a grounding or a support like that, which is unwavering and kind of pushes you on your journey. Was there a specific competition or result early on that made you think that I can really do this?
So back in 2018, we had the World Championship in Barcelona, Spain. And India was always finishing 11th, 12th, 15th. And we were not in the big leagues. We were not in the, in the finals or close to the World Champions. And that is where I came 5th for the first time. And when I did that, I could hear almost all the spectators, even though they were supporting their own skaters from different countries. All of them were cheering India. Like, I could hear India all around the stadium. And that literally gave me goosebumps. And I will never forget that feeling. And even the world champions came up to me and they're like, if you keep continuing this, if you keep doing this, you will definitely be on the podium. And they were excited to see whether I would be in the podium or not. And they wanted someone new from country where nobody has ever seen skaters come up and perform so well. They were really excited and they were really happy for me. And that is the one thing that I still remember and I can never forget.
I mean, I can just imagine how exciting that would be. Really, I think when the audience picks up the momentum, I think as an athlete, it's really something that pumps you up. I also want to go back to your school times. Again, on your Instagram, I read this very nice post where you said, back at school, I was this kid who spent more time outside than inside the class. And the fact that you were missing your classes to chase your dream in skating, but now you were invited as the guest for the school sports day. So if you could share a little about how was it at that time when you were in school and pursuing.
When I was in school, I would barely be in the classes because I had so many championships and I used to miss so many classes, and it was always back and forth from different tracks to different training programs to different cities racing. So I would barely be in school, and almost all the teachers hated me because I was never in attending classes. So it was a tough one. They really gave me a hard time. But now looking back at it, I think it is definitely all worth it.
Yeah. So you're saying that would have been challenging, balancing between the needs of the sport and the school.
Even with my parents, they didn't want me to get 90%, 95%. All they wanted me was to pass and at least be average or above average, which was basically what was necessary. So I didn't have the pressure of studying too much or getting the best grades or being the best in education. They just wanted me to balance them equally so I could pursue what I wanted to do. So in that way, I was grateful that I had such parents who didn't force me into things that I was not comfortable with. So studies was never a big issue for me. And I'm also a quick learner. So even, last minute grasping or revisions right before the exams and other things. I was really good at it, so it was easier for me.
Right. And I think that makes so much sense. Like in our previous episode, we had a sports psychologist, and she
Yeah.
spoke about the fact that often enough parents want their kids to do everything. You should do 90% and complete all your school notes as well as excel in your sport, and that becomes unrealistic and probably also one of the reasons why a lot of athletes in India drop out by the time they are in their teens. So I
Yeah.
think the fact that your parents understood realistically and kind of supported it is interesting. Having said that, were there any moments when you or your parents felt that you need to take a step back from skating, and what made you keep going?
I think during the board exams and the main exams, I had to take a step back from skating, probably miss a few classes and sessions, and really concentrate on my studies and exams and education and all that. But there was never really a situation where I had to completely take a step back from skating and just do something else. So I was always on track, whether I was sick, whether I had body pain, muscle ache, whatever it was. Even if it was raining, I used to go to the track, do some warm up, do some stretches, and come back. So that punctuality and the dedication was always there. So I never really had a chance to take a step back.
Right. Dhanush, also want to understand a little bit about skating in general in India. Now, skating is a very exciting sport, visually also, it's very thrilling and it actually makes for a perfect spectator sport. And lately we've been hearing about new leagues being launched. So do share a little about what's the buzz around and what can we expect in the world of skating in times to come?
Yeah, so skating has been really coming up. I mean, our association and the federation are really coming up with different ways to attract the spectators and grow the sport. So we recently had roller hockey league, which is hockey but on skates, and they're coming up with leagues for speed skating also. So in the near future, we will have a lot of leagues, a lot of races. We also have something called the ranking championships, which is just like every other sport, like in Formula 1, in MotoGP, they have different Grand Prix in different cities. Same thing with skating. They're trying to come up with the ranking system where you get points for every race you race in different cities, and by the end of the year, whoever has the most points will be the, called the ranking champion. So in the days to come, skating is definitely going to go up in spectator thing, and also a lot of skaters are coming up, a lot of new skaters, a lot of interest with young kids who really want to take this into a professional sport. So skating has been there and it's going to grow even more in the coming future.
So that's fantastic to hear, because I think in the past what one has seen is skating is actually very big at the school level. I would feel across India, in different parts of India, but very few actually continue skating through college or beyond. Why do you think that happens so far, and how do you see that changing?
It's because of lack of knowledge. So what's happening in India is everybody's thinking that during 10th or 12th or board exams and before college you can skate enough that you have to concentrate on your education and your future. But there's something called sports quota, cash awards, scholarships, and we have championships from the university level. We have SGFI, like the School Games Federation of India. We have ICSE specific skating championships. We have CBSE specific skating championships. Even KV, Kendriya Vidyalaya, also has their own skating championships. And if you race for the school or college, you definitely get the benefit, like scholarships and sports quota, college admissions. So many of them don't know about this. They don't know that we also get benefits while pursuing our sport. So all they do is they say they'll skate till the 10th standard and they'll quit the sport and start studying. But they don't know that if you balance both together, you will be having a better chance of getting a better placement in different colleges through sports quota. So I think knowledge is very important. People should know about it. People should read about it. Everything is available on the internet. So they just have to go and log in or go and search and they'll get to know everything about it. So basic knowledge they should just have. Even before they start continuing the sport, they should know what the country has to offer.
Right. No, I think that's again a very interesting point, because everyone takes a very mainstream route even for education, and what you're saying is that sports can also be your route to education, and through scholarships you can be at those colleges, etc. But I want to talk about more barriers, and this I'm saying again from the point of view of parents. One of the reasons why, let's say, kids don't end up taking sports in general, and let's say in case of skating, is because the parents may worry about how viable is this as a career option. Now, that's something that you can share with us, because you've decided to take this on professionally. Can there be a viable career in skating, and what are the different ways in which one can earn?
Yeah,
as
I
a
mean,
skater?
skating in general, there are so many options. You can become a trainer, you can become a professional personal trainer, or you can get into coaching, or you can get into different leagues where you're, controlling the team or controlling a particular club or the state. You have options of, also continuing or pursuing in different fields, but also keeping skating in mind, like physiotherapy, sports psychology, and sports medicine. And there are so many options. So, career wise, there's always an option. Like skating can be a part of it, but you can club both the things together and you can still pursue skating.
Right. And that's a narrative that I hear a lot in India, where we talk about that from your absolute sport, like these are emerging fields and you can
Yeah.
be in it. But
So
if I was
skating
to
can
ask,
be one of the bases for your future, and what knowledge you learn from skating, you can apply to different fields and you can definitely grow there.
if I was to ask, as an athlete, having a career as an athlete, now in a lot of other countries, there's a lot of sponsorship, there's a lot of support, and once you make it big, there is also a lot of audience interest. Do you think that's something that's changing? Is there,
Yes.
like how we've seen in cricket, do we see, new heroes emerge, and is there support from advertisers and sponsors which could possibly make it viable for them to have a career as an athlete?
Yes, there are definitely sponsorships. We have different brands and different companies coming up and supporting skaters, the young ones, the ones who are winning, and helping them skate or take this into a full-time career. The Tamil Nadu government is also sponsoring all the skaters who are racing the World Championship, Asian Championship. They're giving them scholarships and sponsorships for their equipment. They're giving fees, endorsements. So if you're studying and you're skating, your fees will be exempted by the government, or it'll be paid from the government. So even almost all the states in India are also supporting this. They have cash awards, they have sponsorships. So there are a lot of options to take just skating as a professional sport. Only thing is you just have to be good at it.
Dhanush, if you can share, if there are enough skating rinks and training facilities in India, especially for those who want to pursue it professionally.
Yes, there are many tracks in India. There are 4 tracks in Karnataka which are international standard. There are a couple of tracks in Delhi. There's one in Gurgaon. We have one in Pune, one in Mumbai. We have 3 in Chennai. We have a lot of tracks in the eastern part of India. We have one in Rajasthan, and there are new tracks coming up in Noida, UP. And there are so many people who are trying to build tracks and start an academy. So if I say one of the best tracks in India to train, to perform, and to race. So since I'm completely into the sport, I have built my own track. So I have my own academy. It's the only academy in Karnataka which has both track and road venue at the same place. So in skating, we have both track events and road events. So we have built skating specific road circuit in our own premises. So I have skaters coming all over India to come and train with me to race. We have also hosted a lot of state championships. We'll be hosting the next India ranking championships also in the future. So there are a lot of options. The tracks are readily available all across the nation. So it's just about finding the right place to train and go ahead with that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think again and again it is just about like accessibility to this information and even knowing that these things exist. And that's something that we are trying to do with raising an athlete as well. If I was to ask you, other than Karnataka, which actually leads, I feel, in all national games also when it comes to skating, what are the other states or what are the other great places to be learning?
There's Chennai, there's Pune, there is Gurgaon, Delhi, and there's one in Visakhapatnam. Visakhapatnam track is one of the most beautiful tracks I've ever skated on. It's right next to the beach. So the location is beautiful, the track is amazing. And there is one track in Kerala also. So there are a lot of tracks in all parts of the nation.
Wonderful. Also, if I was to ask you about the level of coaching that's available in India, is that something which is at par with international standards? And if not, what do you feel is missing?
I mean, there are a few coaches who were skaters before, so they know the level of skating in the international standards. So training with them will definitely help you. But otherwise, what's happening in India is every guy who just sees what skating is and sees how much of money has been coming through skating, they just want to become coaches, and they go into schools and say, I'm a skating coach, when they have zero knowledge about skating. So that's what is happening. There's no certification as such. People who hire coaches, they don't know what they're doing. So they need to streamline this into getting a certified coach, knowing what his background is, whether he was a skater or not. So only after all this, they should take him as a coach. That level, at that international level, you can only find a handful of them in India.
So can you tell us a little about some of the top coaches that are there in India?
We have Shripad Shinde from Pune. We have Shrikanta Rao from Mysore. There are a few skaters who have turned into coaches. We have Pankaj. We have Satyamurthy from Chennai. And there are so many other coaches in India who are really doing well in the sport, who are producing a lot of champions and who are taking them into international standards and making them win medals. So there are a few more as well. Even I am also training, I am also coaching. I also have a few skaters who are doing really well. So like I said, only people who have skated before in that level know what to do and what not to do. So there are good coaches in India. Definitely.
So if I was to ask you, and again as a parent, I'm going to ask you this question, that if I have to look for a coach, let's say for my child, and typically the criteria that ends up happening is, okay, what is in close vicinity to us, the centers close by. But other than convenience, you spoke about the need to check the credentials of the coach. What kind of certification can one possibly be looking at, or what are the qualities that one should be looking at when we're looking for a coach for our child?
Yeah, so our association and the federation have certification programs. So our association number is always on the website, so you can call them and you can ask them who the best coach or who has been certified. And also you can just do a simple background check and see how many skaters they've produced and at what level have they been racing and at what number or at what range they're producing champions. So these are the key things that a parent has to look after when they're enrolling their kids for the sport.
Right. So Dhanush, you spoke about your experience at the World Games. Has India made its mark internationally? What has changed and where do we need to go for us to be recognized as a nation seriously in the space of skating?
Yeah, India has put their spot. I mean, we have put India's spot in the big leagues. But like I said, we were always finishing 15th, 16th, 10th and 11th. Now, since I finished 5th in the World Championship in 2018, we've been consistently finishing top 5, top 8. So we are almost there. We are taking baby steps to get into the podium. And in the Asian Championship also, we have won a lot of medals. I myself have won 3 Asian bronze medals. And in the last Asian Games, India also won the relay bronze medal. And even in the World Championships, we were consistently being on top with the world champions. We are just close. So the only thing lacking for us is reaching on time, getting used to the track, the weather, the food, because we are traveling so far and the food habits are different in different countries. So these are a few things that we are finding it difficult to reach the podium, but we're almost there.
Right, which also brings me to the question about like funding in skating, because you spoke about the need to acclimatize and be there and understand the conditions. My assumption is that it's sometimes to do with funding, and possibly skating may not always have the funding that the mainstream sports do. How have you managed to attend international tournaments early in your career in terms of funding?
Funding, I mean, if you want to go professional, you definitely have to spend. And when you want performance, you have to have the best equipment, you have to have the best coach, you have to have the best track, or you have to travel a lot to train in different tracks. So funding is a major part as of now in India. So for me, I was lucky enough to be financially stable, or my parents are financially stable to send me into international leagues. But like I said, there are a lot of sponsorships. The government also reimburses the travel expenses. We have cash awards. So we are trying to manage with all that. So we travel, we race, we perform, we win medals, and we come back and we get cash awards and we put it back again to travel and race. So in that way, we have been able to manage the finances.
But basically what you're saying is you've been self-funded, that you've led your journey on your own, which isn't easy for everyone, and especially when it comes to international tournaments. Do you think funding and support has improved in the last few years? Do you see more advertisers or supporters come forward?
Yes. Back then, we barely had anyone coming and supporting skaters. They were like, what is skating? Skating is, is just a hobby sport. You might not be able to do something. And after that, when we started really performing and putting ourselves on the top of the chart, that's when many of the companies started approaching, and they wanted to fund and they wanted to support. So in that way, the funding situation right now in India is definitely changing. So like I said, now with the leagues coming up, there are different leagues in different states and in India. So with that also attracts a lot of companies who want to come and sponsor, who want to come and support, advertise. So in that way, we are also finding ways to fund the international journey for us.
Right. Right. I want to shift a little, Dhanush, and talk about your journey from a beginner to an elite athlete. Now, shifting from at a, let's say, recreational level to training as a professional skating would have meant making some sacrifices.
Yeah.
So, do tell us what that journey entailed.
Sacrifices. I have had a lot of sacrifices. I mean, when I was in school, college, I barely went to sleepovers. I barely hung out with friends. And since I was never in school, I didn't make a lot of friends. I had a couple of them, and people who would understand what I was doing and why I was doing it. So in that way, my journey was not that like my childhood and my school life was not that great. But yeah, like I said, sacrifices had to be made. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
I think what I want to say is that especially on Instagram, an athlete's life looks so glamorous because, there's this background music playing behind, which isn't always the case in life. You don't have background music. You're waking up early in the morning and really doing the grind. And I think that's something very important for everyone to know, because what we look at is really the medals, the achievements, the sweat and the disappointments and the anxiety is something that really never comes forth. Having said that, what I want to ask you is that you've traveled a lot for different competitions internationally. What have you enjoyed the most, and what would you dislike about when you would travel?
The most I've enjoyed is meeting different people and talking about the sport, how they train, what they do, what's the difference between what we're doing and they're doing, and how will that benefit us even if we do it. So that is one thing that excites me, and that's one thing I look forward to when I travel. The other thing is, the only thing I dislike is traveling. I am so done with airports. I am fed up of security checks, because every time you enter the airport and you go to security check, the army personnel will ask me, "Ye kya hai?" And they don't know anything about the skates. And sometimes when you're late for a flight and they're asking questions, you can't say no also. And when when you're traveling with the team, the whole team is traveling wearing the Indian jersey. They ask, "Where are you going? Why are you going? How are you going?" And sometimes we are late for the flight and we can't say no also. So that is one thing I dislike about traveling. I've traveled so much that sometimes I feel traveling by car or by other transport is much more, enjoyable than standing in line waiting for the security check, waiting for the flight. So that's one thing I don't like.
Yeah. So there we go. Behind all the glamour of even international travel is again a lot of grind. But tell me, Dhanush, that so you spoke about how you would meet the other skaters and look at how they do things. What have you seen in terms of their mindset or technique? How are the other countries different or similar in the way we do things? And what are some of the biggest challenges that the Indian skaters face when they're trying to break into international scene? Is it their technique? Is it their mental game? What is it?
So for them, they don't have the pressure of studying like education. What they do is, all they know is skate. They wake up in the morning, they skate, they come back, they have their breakfast or lunch, they go back to the track, skate, and they come back home, and they only think about skating and go back to bed. For us in India, we have to balance our education, we have to handle manage the family work, we have to skate. So we have to do it in a short span of time. Like between 18 to 25, you have to finish your education and start looking for jobs, look after your future. For them, it's not like that. All they do is skate. And when they quit their sport, that's when they start studying, that's when they start thinking about their career, that's when they start going for, looking out for jobs, and that's how they take it forward. So they don't have the pressure of studying and doing everything on time or before time. So that's the reason, one of the reasons that they are able to put all their time and effort into skating and come up in the charts.
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting point, because they're able to put that single-minded attention. There isn't, in that sense, other pressures, perhaps even financial of the nature, because there is support from the system which allows them to kind of thrive in that. What's been the toughest phase of your journey so far?
Yeah, back in 2007, we had the national championship in Visakhapatnam, and I was down with jaundice, typhoid, and paratyphoid altogether. So that put me off for 3 years. So I was completely off skating. I couldn't skate for more than 10 months, almost a year. So getting back to that shape took me about 3.5-4 years. So that was the most difficult stage for me, because the only thing I knew and I was good at was skating, and changing that and going into something else was a really difficult part. So I didn't want to lose hope. So I took the long break and I made a comeback in 2011. So that 3-4 years were really difficult for me because I knew what I was before, and to get to where I was before took me a lot of time.
I would imagine incredible amount of determination, because as you feel that the world is going by, because your peer group, they're continuing to train and you're out of that, to have, I would say, that courage to say that no, I will go back and catch up and thrive. I think that's something incredible. And you've been declared India's fastest skater multiple times. What's been your best time, and how does that position you internationally?
Yeah, so different tracks have different timings. So it's not the same for all the tracks. So some tracks are slow, some tracks are fast. Some of the events are happening in the morning when the weather is different. Some of the events are happening in the evening when the weather is different. So the timing always changes depending on the track and the weather and the time. So as of now, my best time is 17.39, which is in an indoor track. Again, indoor and outdoor also changes. And outdoor track, my best time is 18.22. So according to the international standard, like I said, it is in between the ballpark of top 10. So we are there depending on the track. We can be good, we can be bad. Some people are good in certain tracks because certain tracks also have technical abilities. If you're powerful, you are good at certain tracks, but if you're quick, they are good in the other tracks. So that also matters.
Okay. And when I was reading about you, I noticed that I think from 2014 to now, nearly in the 10 years, I think 8 out of 10 times you were adjudged as the top skater in India. I'm sure that comes with its own set of pressure and expectations. How do you deal with that?
The only thing I know to do is skate. So whenever I feel stressed or whenever I feel sad or when my head is not in the right place, I just put on my skates and just do a few laps. Even when I have brain fog, I just skate and I just feel good. So that has been my happy place, and also my track is is in one of the best locations. So just going there, sitting by the track and just letting it all go helps me bring down my stress and getting myself back to what's happening.
So interesting what you say, that it's your happy place, and it's actually what you're saying. This is all I know. This is my happy place. This is where I belong. So I almost feel out of place to even ask you a question about motivation. Does that even apply? Because I was going to ask you, like, how would you handle motivation if results don't go your way?
So the way I tackle motivation or failures is different. So when people don't get to what they were supposed to do, or don't clock the timing, or don't win the championship, they go into a mode where they're depressed and they feel bad about themselves. But I'm the opposite. I fuel my motivation through failures, and I analyze where I've gone wrong, how I've gone wrong, and I try to tackle my weakness, improve on that, and build my strength. So that has always been my way of skating and my way of training. So I never have a bad race. Even if I have a bad race, I just brush it off saying, I can be better. Maybe they train better than me. So it's my time to, get back at them. So everybody can't be champions every day. So there's always ups and downs. So sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So if you lose, there's nothing lower than that. So only way is up. So I always think in that way.
No, that is so incredible to hear, because it shows like tremendous amount of self-awareness, and also I would say a self-belief it's coming from within. You're not dependent on validation from outside. The wind doesn't validate who you are, what you do. You're saying that you have a strong sense of your inner belief about it. Have you worked with a sports psychologist, Dhanush?
No, I've not gotten a chance to work with one. I would definitely do it in the coming future.
What are the areas that you'd like to explore with the sports psychologist?
Mindset, handling stress. So before the race, I can't sleep because I keep visualizing how I race. I had different plans for different situations. So that also again comes with stress. So I would want to work on, stress management, how to handle, other setbacks like injuries and things like that, and how to overcome that and bounce back.
Which brings me to the point of injuries. That have you experienced that? Have injuries ever slowed you down or threatened your career, and how have you bounced back from that?
Yes, there were a few instances where I've had pretty serious injuries. The only way I would tackle it is, taking my time and not rushing into, winning and pushing my body to, the limit where it can't handle it. So the only way I would overcome injuries is understanding my body and know when to quit or when to stop when it hurts most, and completely recover even before I start continuing it again.
So you put your full time in terms of rehabilitation and not try to, you know, quicken things up. What's that one physical challenge or any particular challenge that you feel that people don't actually realize that skaters have to deal with?
So since India is a protein deficient country, people have to understand that food and nutrition is a big part of it. And they need to understand how to handle protein intake and nutrition and hire a good sports nutritionist. So what people do is they just go to random nutritionists or just a well-being dietitian, and they ask for a food chart or a schedule, which is it's okay to lead a normal life, but when you're an athlete you have to have a certain specific dietitian or a nutritionist who will help you in that way.
Right. So I think we spoke about your journey, we spoke about skating in India, and I think I also want to ask a little bit from the point of view of early beginner athletes who may be evaluating joining. I think one thing that bogs most people initially is even choosing what kind of skates to pick. Is it inline, quad? What's the science behind? Does it depend on the age or goal or the format of the game that you're pursuing?
Yeah, so choosing your skate depends on how old you are, what age group or what category you come under, and what your body weight and how you skate. It all basically depends on that. So for the younger ones, there's inline skates which has to be 90 mm. The wheel has to be not more than 90 mm. In that also they have different setups. You have 3-wheel 90 mm. There are 4-wheel frames. So again, it depends on how big your foot is, how long your foot is, whether you will be able to handle the weight. And even with choosing your skate, it also depends on the brand. Which brand you're going forward with, what brand specifically makes skates for certain ages or certain sport categories. So that also comes into the picture. And also the most thing that boils down to is the budget. Depends on how much you're able to spend. Sometimes people think that the most expensive skate is the best, but it's never the case. It usually depends on how your foot is, whether you have a narrow foot or a flat foot, and if you have good ankle stability, then you will need a thinner boot. If you have less ankle stability, you will have to get a boot which has a lot of ankle support. So choosing a skate, you cannot go to a store and just buy it off the shelf. It all goes to the coach who has knowledge about all kinds of equipment, and he will suggest you with the skate that you should go for.
Yeah, unfortunately, even in that, sometimes there's too many commercial imperatives attached for the coaches, so they are actually guiding you by.
Even if you want to choose your skates, you can always talk to most of the top skaters in India. You just send them a message and they will gladly be able to help. In fact, if people want to know more about skates and what kind of skates they want to, they can definitely reach out to me and I can help them out.
Lovely, fantastic. Interesting, you said inline skates are for young. I remember when we were kids, I don't even remember inline skates. It was only quads that were available.
Yes. So it was just quads before, but now there are so many skaters who want to pursue the sport into a professional career, and we also have from the age group of 8 years. So there are a lot of companies who have developed skates for small kids now. So you get inline skates for youngsters also.
But inline is more about speed, is that right? Because my understanding is that when you're starting, wouldn't quads give you more balance or support compared to inline?
Not really. Quad, usually what we do is we train them for the basics, to improve their technique and then move forward to inline. Because in the international league, there's no quad races. It's only inline. So many of the younger kids who want to race, open races in other countries can opt for inline, and that's why they want to go with the inline skates.
Okay. And at what age does the transition happen from beginner to competitor level skating? How long will it take if you're consistent with training?
It really depends. It depends on how good your grasping power is and how your body takes the training. So you can become a professional skater and then continue to skate all your life sometimes, or you can just be hobby skater and then just for the last 2-3 years of your career you can be a professional. So there's no such timeline that you can turn into a professional in certain times.
Right. And at what stage should an athlete think about investing in professional grade equipment?
I would suggest them to definitely go with the professional grade skates, because equipment is the most integral part of your skating career. Even if you are skating for a hobby, it's better for you to go with a professional skate, because there's a lot of research and development done on the skate. And even if, say, you twist your ankle or you have a fall, your leg or your body is not damaged. But with other skates you're getting off the shelf, you're getting on the stores, they've been made for sales. They're not specifically made for skating. So even if you buy them off the shelf and start skating in your local parks or at your apartments or in different tracks, chances of injuring yourself or damaging your leg or your ankle or your body is high. So even if you're skating for a hobby, it's better you go for a professional grade skate.
How often do skaters train each week at different levels? So let's say a beginner athlete, an intermediate skater, or an elite one. What would be the difference in their skating schedule?
Skating schedule also depends on what time of the year you're skating, whether it's off season or you're during the races. So sometimes during off season, what we do is we skate for not more than 4 or 5 days in a week, because recovery also is very important. So we skate probably 4 days and take 2 days off in a week. And during races also we skate 5 days and take 5 or 6 days and take 1 day off. It really depends on the schedule also. So sometimes schedules we have 2 breaks in between a week. So depending on the race and depending on the time, we change the schedule and we take rests.
What are the key physical and mental skills that a skater needs to succeed, especially at the elite level?
Physical level, you just have to be strong enough to go through the training. So if you have a training schedule which is for an hour and a half, even if you're not fast enough, if you're able to survive the training schedule and finish the schedule, that mindset has to be there. And again, mentally, if you're strong enough and if you don't have the no give up attitude, you won't be able to come up in this sport. So having a good mental stability before the race and having a positive attitude and giving your 100%, or maybe it might be 60, 70, 80% also sometimes, but as long as you're surviving the schedule and finishing it and taking it the next day, has to be there.
Right. In fact, Dhanush, I want to ask, I noticed that you're extremely fit, and I sense that you put in a lot of effort on your fitness schedule. Is that something because it's something that you're personally passionate about, fitness, or you do it because of the demands of skating?
No, since we skate and we do a lot of exercises and we keep our training schedules at the peak, that's one of the reasons I always keep myself fit. So if I want to be the best, I have to look like the best, and that is one of the motivations for me to keep myself fit.
What does your fitness schedule look like?
So it's about an hour and a half of training in the morning. So I wake up at 5:30 and I have my training at 6, and I'm back home again for breakfast, and then I head to the gym and we have our weight training and our plyometrics, and we have different trainings for different times. And then after that I come back home for lunch, and between lunch and my evening schedule I have other works that I can complete, and then back on the track again in the evening. And after my evening sessions, which is for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, I'm back home again, and dinner and recovery and sleep.
What time do you sleep?
It depends. So sometimes I sleep at 9, sometimes I sleep at 11, 12. It really depends.
Lovely. But you sleep early.
Wake up in the morning and I don't want to have a very bad, I don't want to be skating in a very bad mood. I'd rather sleep early and wake up with a fresh mind. Mm-hmm.
So one was about what you consider is the most critical factor that can make or break an athlete's progression.
A make or break is the way you put yourself out there on the track. Some people are very arrogant. Some people win a few races and they consider themselves as champions, and they start celebrating in a very bad way. That definitely puts a bad mark on you when you're racing in such levels. So keeping yourself grounded, and if you win by your strength, but if you lose, you also lose because of your abilities. So you never put others at fault because of your failures. So this is a make or break situation. Sometimes when you don't earn the respect of the seniors or the skaters who are skating with you, I don't think you would definitely have a good relationship or that that healthy rivalry on track. So that you will always have to make sure that even if you're celebrating, you have to do it respectfully. So make or break situation also happens with injuries. So you have to take care of your body and you have to make sure that you know what you're doing.
If there was advice for parents, what are some of the common mistakes that parents make early on in the journey for their children?
Early on is pushing them to a limit where they start hating the sport. Because I've seen so many parents in my own academy who put them into the sport and they want them to win and they force them to push their body so much that they have no life left once they go back home, because they have to finish their homeworks, they have to do with their school, and they have to come back on track also, and they don't have the time to be kids. They're put into a situation where they're not able to do anything else other than this, and they start hating the sport. And once they get that mentality, they won't improve in skating. So as long as they're enjoying, as long as they're even, so what I say is, whether you have 90% improvement or 1% improvement, it's still an improvement. So that is one thing they have to look after, and as long as they're enjoying what they do, they'll be good. Because if they hate the sport, they won't come up.
I think that's a very important point you share. I think the dilemmas are very real. You early on spoke about the scholarships and the facilities that are available, but only for the best. To be the best, you have to put in, extraordinary amount of effort. And I think sometimes it's a bit of a dilemma to say at what level do you stop that and not actually end up annihilating the athlete completely.
Yeah.
Right. Just two final questions, Dhanush. I wanted to ask in terms of any skaters, past or present, who have inspired you personally.
Inspired me personally, there were a few skaters internationally. There is Gregory Dugento from Italy. He was my biggest role model because he was a sprinter, and I'm also a sprinter, so I used to look up to him a lot. Another role model for me was Pedro Cosil from Colombia, and I had the chance to skate with him in Colombia at the World Championships, and I finished sixth again with him. And he came up to me and said that I'm doing really well, and he looks forward to me being in the podium. So, and in the current situation, we have a lot of skaters like Vikram Ingle from Pune. We have Aryan Pal Singh from Panchkula, and there are a lot of skaters. There's Arti Kasturi Raj from Chennai, and there are so many other skaters in India who are doing really well. In fact, Aryan Pal has been doing really well right now because he's one of the youngest person from India who have won international open races recently. We have Anish Raj from UP Noida, who's a young gun who's really coming up, with a good form, and hopefully he gets a medal for India too. So there are a lot of good skaters in the country, and I really look up to them. I learn from the youngsters and the former skaters.
Fantastic. And just one final one for young skaters and fans listening. Who are some of the skaters, coaches, and brands they can follow to stay updated with the world of skating?
World of skating, yeah. They can definitely follow me. They can reach out to me and I can help them. There's, like I said, there's Vikram Ingle, there's from Delhi, there's Kanishka from Coimbatore, there's Satya from Chennai, and there are brands like Simonsa Racing, there's a brand like Bond. I've also made my own brand called Trinity. We manufacture, high-grade racing bearings, which are specifically made for different events. So we have different bearings for sprint, we have different bearings for long distance. So there are a lot of brands which are doing really well, and they're specific in what they're doing, and they're professionals in what they're doing. So these are one of the best brands and people that they can reach out.
Fantastic. Thank you, Dhanush. You've been a wonderful guest for us. You've been very patient. I think an athlete realizes the need for resilience when we ran into a lot of tech recording issues, but I think you've been patient through that. So thank you, and excited for all the fans who are listening in, for them to be able to connect with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad that I could be a part of this and give out to the community. And so thank you so much.